Hello, welcome back everyone to the absolute beginner tutorial for Git and GitHub. In this lesson, we will be going ahead and downloading a few tools that we would need to perform version control using Git and GitHub. Now, before we move ahead and actually download these tools and set them up, I would like to take you on a short background story on why do we actually need Git and GitHub in the first place? What problems do these tools actually solve? So back in the day, when software engineering teams were working in large arrangement of people, for instance, more than 2 to 3 people are contributing to the same project, it quickly became very difficult to manage that project across the teams, across the people in a single team. So imagine that you as a software engineer are working on a project, and at the same time your colleagues are also working on the same project, editing the same files. Now, suppose you are writing a feature that one of your colleagues needs to get them moving. So how do you pass those features to them? Usually, now, once they have built some features into their version, they are passing those files back to the other team members. And this keeps on circulating between team members. Now, this was all fine in a small group of people, but as the teams grow big, and in cases where the people of the team are geographically located on different geolocations, it became quite impossible. So GitHub came to the rescue to solve this problem. GitHub is an online platform that enables you to upload your code to a centralized repository or a database, and provide you with the ability to version control your project. GitHub also allows you to collaborate with other developers while working on a single project from anywhere in the world. So I'll be explaining more of the terminologies that we need to learn to be comfortable in version control as we go along. So first, let's discuss what all tools do we need to have on our system to be able to start off with having version control in practice. So first of all, let's again reiterate over who this course is actually for. So if you're a computer science student right at school and you're preparing for yourself to be admitted into a university, you need to learn Git and GitHub, because as you go into the university, most of the times your professors are going to ask you for submission of projects that you're going to build during your time at the university. And most of the times your projects will be accepted in a form of a GitHub repository. So if you are aware about the version control and Git as a platform, then you'll be good to go. If you are already a computer science engineer working at a university, studying at a university, then again, this is helpful for you, because every single team out there nowadays, it has become an industry standard practice to hold all the code onto some sort of Git repositories. So as soon as you land your first job, you will be in a deep need for understanding Git or GitHub. Git is something that you would definitely would require, but GitHub is a platform which can be replaced by other platforms, but Git as an underlying technology would still remain the same, and you would need to work on that. If you are an experienced programmer and you already are aware about Git and GitHub, and you are just here for a little brush up on the skills, then this is for you as well. Now, let's go ahead and learn about the tools that we actually need. First of all, we need to have a GitHub account. So to start off with Git and GitHub, we do need a GitHub account, because that's the centralized database that we'll be uploading the code onto. To do so, just navigate over onto your favorite web browser, go to the address bar and type github.com. As you do so, you'll be presented with such sort of a page. Now on this page, you just navigate to the sign up button, and it will be prompting you with some questions. For example, enter your email, your username and password. Just fill in all the details. Your username has to be unique, by the way. Fill in all the details and you'll be having your GitHub account set up in no time. Once you completely set up your GitHub account, you will actually see something like this. You will have your own profile. In my case, I do have some repositories in my profile. You don't need to worry about that because we will be creating fresh repositories as we go along in this course. Now, the second tool, Git, is actually the underlying technology or the underlying utility tool that provides ability to perform version control and manage the revision histories of our projects. So I'll be explaining more about this in detail later in the course. So to install Git, navigate over to your browser and write Git in your address bar, hit enter, navigate onto the downloads. Now, when you go to this website, you'll be presented with multiple options or distributions actually to download from. If you are running a Mac OS, then go for the Mac OS. If you're on Ubuntu, you can go for Linux. If you're on a Windows machine, then go on Windows and download the utility tool respective to your distribution environment. And when I say distribution environment, what I really mean is that the operating system that you're running on your system. Download this, install it, and once you will install this, you can navigate onto the terminal window in case of a Mac or CMD in case of Windows, and just type Git within that and hit enter. You'll be presented with this help menu. That means that your Git is successfully installed. If you do not see this, then chances are that the installation did not went as planned. You can go again, reiterate over the steps that I just mentioned and install it again, and come to the terminal or the CMD and write Git. You should be able to see this help menu. Now, the next tool that we need to install is a text editor. And for this one, you are free to choose whichever text editor you find yourself comfortable working with. In my case, I'll be choosing Visual Studio Code because it's one of the best text editors in my opinion in the market. It's very lightweight and have loads of extensions to work on and take leverage of. So go ahead into the address bar and type Visual Studio Code. And again, I mean, I'm not forcing you to install this. You can choose whichever text editor you prefer. In my case, I'll just use Visual Studio Code. So just go ahead and click on this download button. Again, you'll be presented with a screen with multiple distribution options. Just select the one that you're running. So Windows, Ubuntu, Linux, Mac, whichever operating system you're running, just click on that, download the installer file, install it, and you'll be set up with the Visual Studio Code editor. Lastly, you need to install Node.js. I mean, I am preferring to work on Node. That's something that I like to work on. Again, this is language agnostic or framework agnostic. You can choose whichever framework or language that you find yourself comfortable working with. It could be C++, Java, Golang, Node, whatever you like. It could even be a plain simple text file because version control is about managing different versions of content that you have on your system in a project. It could even be a blog project. You just can have multiple versions of the same blog, so it can be a text file as well. I'm just pursuing Node here to make it as realistic as to a real world working project in a production environment. Again, you can choose whichever technology you like, does not matter. So go ahead into the address bar and type Node, hit enter, go to this download and install Node tab. Again, within this on section, you can select the distribution environment that you have, macOS, Windows, Linux, whichever you have. Click on it, download it, install it. Once you install this successfully, go to your terminal In case of Mac, again, in case of Windows, go to CMD and type node hyphen hyphen version. Hit enter, and you should be able to see the version number of node that you just installed. Again, if this is something which is not showing up, and you find that it says that command not found for node, then probably chances are the installation did not went successfully. You just go ahead and follow the steps again. You can rewatch the video one more time, two more times, as many times as you like, and install all these dependencies before we dive ahead into the next video. So in the next video, we'll be actually diving into the code and implementing version control using Git and GitHub. Or chances are I'll be explaining a little more terminologies around Git and GitHub, and then we'll be moving ahead and writing our first project, which will be a very simple project because this is about Git and GitHub, not about writing a end user application. So in the next video, we'll be starting ahead with writing Git commands and managing our project via the version control that Git provides.